Yo, as we start the show, I apologize, my voice. We're still getting it back, man, because this episode is all about our time in the Tampa Bay and St. Pete area as we were covering the WWE Royal Rumble. And I was battling my voice. I was screaming. We were working hard. We were very tired at night. And thankfully, we had a place to rest our heads comfortably. And that place was the Haya Hotel. Look, if you've never been to Tampa, if there's one part of the city I highly recommend, it's Ybor. It is historic. It is where you go to turn up. It is where you go to have a great time. And located in the heart of Ybor, right there off of 7th Street, is the Haya Hotel. We had a wonderful time. Matter of fact, on social media, next week, if you're listening to this weekend as this episode comes out here on this Friday, you need to check out Instagram, Heavyweight Radio on the TikTok as well. We'll give you a walkthrough that includes the great views of the spacious and luxurious Haya Hotel. Be sure to look out for that. But yeah, man, if you're going to Tampa, book your stay right now. Haya Hotel. Thanks to them for making all of this possible. That is hotelhaya.com, HAYA.com, hotelhaya.com. They're uniquely Ybor. Now, let's get on with the show. I promise you I wanted to bring you an episode much earlier this week, but hey, my voice was not, how do I say this? It was not participating with me, okay? We finally got the voice back. Welcome inside the Unlikely Podcast. If you didn't know, off of social media or whatever, I just got back from Tampa, Florida, home of the 2024 Royal Rumble. Also, the home of where I went to college and started radio at HCC Hawks Landing, Hawk Studio, HCC Hawk Radio, when I showed up to this little radio room with an aux cord and my laptop playing music off of Windows Media Player, because I am not a DJ. But hey, the underground was born 8-9 years later, and we came back in style, man. It was amazing. Tampa is one of the most underrated cities in the country. The culture, the food, the weather, the people, and yes, the gorgeous women, for those that are into that type of thing. Gorgeous people all around. It's still Florida, so you get Florida man walking around doing some crazy-ish. But hey, you kind of get that everywhere these days. But no, it was great. It was my return. I hadn't been back since I graduated damn near 7 years ago. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see many of my friends because we was working. We did over 19 interviews, which is why this episode now exists. What we're going to do is we're going to run down all of the interviews we did, not only at Media Day for the Royal Rumble, but also at a private event thrown by 2K Sports and 2K with the, I guess, first ever hands-on look at the new WWE 2K24. Content creators, some media members, and of course those that helped create the game from 2K themselves were in the building. We got to play for about 4 or 5 hours, but more importantly, if you didn't know, the cover stars are Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Well deserved for all three. We got the chance to talk to those members of the WWE and the cover stars, which is amazing. We got to talk to Cody Rhodes. We got to talk to Bianca Belair. We got to talk to Rhea Ripley. And we got to talk to 16 other WWE athletes. And to be honest, I missed my flight. I wanted to fly into Orlando, try to get some extra work done, missed my flight by 3 minutes, and had to be rerouted. And instead of flying into Orlando, I said, look, if this is going to take a whole day thing, because there isn't a nonstop flight, let me just get to Tampa. And it required a stop in Denver, and I land in Denver. And of course, I see the news on my phone as I'm getting signal back. All of these transcripts and little tidbits of the lawsuit that was filed against Vince McMahon and other top executives at the WWE at the time. Despicable, horrific, and I'm not going to lie to you, selfishly for myself, I kind of was like, oh, that means they're not going to allow us to talk to any talent. because they don't want us asking about this. That means that at the press conference, they are going to, for the first time, say, hey, before Triple H or whoever comes out here, Nick Khan or whatever executive, like, we are not answering any questions or a statement, blah, 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 blah. Thankfully, nobody told me and the other people that I spoke with that were there covering the events, nobody told them that we couldn't ask or not say anything. Now, unfortunately for me, I raised my hand the only time I raised my hand was during Triple H's portion of the press conference after the Royal Rumble. I was not called on, thankfully. Those like Cameron Hawkins, Brandon Thurston, John Alba, Nick Hossman, and I believe there's someone else that I'm forgetting, kind of asked. And that's all we can do, man. Like, look, he can no comment us at all. He can do it all day. It's our responsibility, or at least I feel like it. I don't consider myself a journalist. I love the art of conversation. I love talking to people. I guess you would put me in the box of an interviewer if you had to do something, but I'm well aware of the responsibility of what it means to be in there and to do due diligence and not just ask questions to make it look like everything was great, because I did have a great time despite the gray cloud that surrounded the event because of the circumstances and some of Triple H's comment. The comments specific to that lawsuit, I was hella disappointed and hella bummed. Hearing that he didn't read the lawsuit, the fact that there wasn't a general statement, the fact that he spoke for 10 minutes about the debuts of everyone and congratulations to the people that won the Rumble and the success and selling out the Thunderdome and coming back to St. Pete from using it during COVID and blah, 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 blah. Like 9 minutes of this is great, because it should have been a historic week. Should have been a historic weekend for the WWE until this thing happened. And I feel like that should have been the first thing addressed. He did talk about it for a second briefly, and then the media asked what they needed to ask. So yeah, I didn't get the chance to ask that. I was kind of disappointed. Some people made some remarks about some of the things that I asked Talon and why I didn't do this and why I didn't do that. Look, man, a lot of people are how do I say this? Because we are not re-recording this. We're going all the way through. A lot of people are affected by the actions of those high executives and Vince McMahon and everyone who knew who was complicit and didn't do anything. And unfortunately, because of that, the talent that are with that company, people that work at that company that have nothing to do with it, are now tarnished because of those actions. Me, as a random person that covers it, is tarnished and getting negative comments thrown out that I'm pandering or this, that, and the third. And, I will say this. If you didn't know, home base is here in Las Vegas, and that means that next week is Super Bowl week. It is Radio Row, this, that, and the third. Someone who also lives here in Las Vegas, who just released his project, Andreas Hall. Congratulations to him, Big E, the entire team, Jonathan Davenport, for the release of Bridges, which is out on YouTube. It's for free. You can go to ourheroesrock.com to go check it out. But we're going to have Andreas on the show, and we'll release that episode sometime next week. And of course, we're going to talk about Bridges and how important that is, and how beautiful that is that it releases on February 1st to kick off Black History Month. But I need to talk to him about my place in media, the situation, how we can handle it, because there's a huge difference between the media of a professional sports team in the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, WNBA, whatever, and boxing and UFC and WWE, where it's a one-on-one relationship with the company and whatever publication or journalist or whoever that's trying to cover it. It's very easy. Ask Ariel Helwani when it comes to UFC. You ask Dana White a question, Dana White didn't like it, pulled his thing. You can do that in the NFL, but if you are not in the right and it's not something ridiculous, the entire fan base, the entire rest of the media that wasn't involved in that situation will stick up for that media member and make it very hard not to rescind the taking of a media thing. And look, I'm going to be honest with you too. I don't know how many are getting paid, like, regardless of going. As in, I'm assuming Sean Ross Sapp and some of the bigger names, they're good. They're gonna make money. They make money. Blah 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 blah, and rightfully so. They've earned their place and their money and their income to come to events and cover it. Blah blah blah. I know for me, this is a one-man operation. I'm saving up. I'm spending the hotel, food, the equipment. We bought a new camera, trying to up our game and improve like everyone should in whatever they're doing. So now, am I going to risk everything that the relationships I've established to lose out on that access? And sometimes you have to, and sometimes it's very delicate. There's a lot of similarities in the coverage in the WNBA, because obviously it's not as big as the NBA. So it's not like all these places as media and journalism is dying. First off, it's a tough situation and a tough thing to navigate, alongside the fact that it's not just beat writers and journalists that are now in these rooms. Could argue, should I even be in there? I'm an interviewer. You know what I mean? Content creator. Or I'm popular on TikTok. I'm popular on Instagram. Well, I don't know if that means you should be in the room, but that's what it is. Things are changing. So it's a complicated situation. Next week, we're going to dive into it with Andreas Hall, live from Radio Row at the Super Bowl. Before we get into all these interviews from the Royal Rumble, I also do want to say thank you. This is going to sound ridiculous. I checked like 2 days ago. I went on my Spotify, like my podcast, the login where I have to upload the episodes and put the information and thumbnails, blah, 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 blah. And it tells me how many plays for how long, all the analytics of the episodes and stuff. And just on Spotify, because the podcast is available on Apple Music and Amazon Audible and Podbean and Stitcher and the Odyssey app. Be sure to like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that. By the way, everything helps, because there's a billion podcasts out there. It helps us stick out and improve and elevate. But I saw that we had 6 Spotify followers. To people, might be like 6. Like, who cares? No. Those 6 mean the world to me. The fact that you are choosing to rock with us means a lot. So yeah, let's get into these interviews. Last thing I will say, if you want to watch any of these, available on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Adrian, ADRIANCLE93. This is the Unlikely Podcast, and let's start off with the cover boy, the American Dream. Yeah, we got to speak to him. Here's my interview with Cody Rhodes. Cody, the thing I love about these games is you got 2 options. You can relive the past, or you can create dream matches, dream scenarios. One of those played out last Monday on Raw. I don't think a lot of people thought they'd ever see you and CM Punk in the ring again.
I didn't.
Can you talk to me about that moment?
Well, one of the things I really like about it is it's very real. My whole run since I've come back to WWE has been real. That's the story I wanted to tell since I was 8 years old. Last year, WrestleMania 39, didn't get to finish it. Trying to close the loop on it and finish it. My departure and going out and doing all those things that Punk had really inspired. Punk really did inspire them, but to be able to do them, and then when he comes back, you know, there's a natural bit of, I don't know if it's jealousy or tension. I feel like if you asked us both on our most honest days, are we jealous of each other? I might be a little jealous of him, and maybe he's a little jealous of me. We just had very unique paths.
You guys want to be the best.
We want to be the best, and that right now is really indicative of the whole. If you look at Monday Night Raw, you got Jey Uso, you've got Drew, you've got Sam, you've got this really, really hard to call Rumble that's in front of us, but that was a very nice and real moment.
And you bring up the roster. My last question will be this. The roster's as packed as it's ever been, but a lot of people want to see you finish your story with whatever that means, including you.
I don't even know what it means.
What's the message to the fans?
Believe. Really, that we have been faced with insurmountable odds. All right, CM Punk's back. Oh, Rock's going on Pat McAfee, completely dismissing me. All of that, no heat, no disrespect. It's been dismissive of me, so that's great. Be dismissive of me. For me, I just have to continue to believe. I can't give up. It's very difficult to get to a WrestleMania main event. To be able to do it twice is near impossible. Getting elected president level of impossibility, but it's the goal. It's finishing the story for me is doing it at WrestleMania, doing it against Roman Reigns. So here's hoping and believe. And if I say this and then I don't win the Royal Rumble, don't fall to pieces. So
there it is. Cody Rhodes, thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir.
right, Kofi, here's the deal. I need to start off. It's our first time talking.
Let's go.
We were scheduled to do an interview, ironically, before WrestleMania here in Tampa.
Oh.
All right? Things happen. You're a busy man. We weren't able to do the interview, but I had this graphic made.
Oh, wow.
This is sexy, right?
Oh, look at this. Look at us.
Here's the
Exclusive.
deal. I posted this knowing that the interview wasn't going to go down because I did it for the likes. Do you judge me?
No, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get the likes, right? And then you know, this, I mean, it's a little skullduggerous. It's a little skullduggerous, you know? But you got to do what you got to do. Those likes aren't going to go away, you know?
Thank you.
Do what you got to do.
Before we started this interview, we talked about Bill Belichick, and you
Yes.
talked about how great he was and how long he's been doing it.
Yep.
Dog, this is your 16th Royal Rumble, bro.
It's
You're
the
only
16th,
behind
it's the
Kane.
61.
You're the second most entries into the Royal Rumble. How does that make you feel?
I don't know if I'm like disgusted or impressed, you know, to be around this long is crazy. Oftentimes I look around the locker room and people are talking about people who I don't know. They're talking about situations that I was not involved in because they are younger than me, you know, but it's great, you know, to be able to to have this kind of longevity is awesome, but then more importantly to be able to do it and to still be having fun is the name of the game. You know, this has been a childhood dream for me. This is all I've ever wanted to do, and to say that I've been doing it for as long as I have, and to be still enjoying it at this point in a significant fashion is pretty spectacular. So I can't complain.
How happy were you to see CM Punk to come back?
Super happy, like ecstatic. You know, I was in Chicago obviously, and you know they had Randy come out. It was like, oh, this is dope. Whoa, Randy's back. Cool. I can't wait to say what's up to him. I start packing up my bags, and all of a sudden, I said, what? I said, oh, it's got to be a rib. Maybe he's not going to come through the curtain. They're just trying to like mess with people here in Chicago because that's what all the rumors were saying. And then he walks out. I'm like, oh my God. That's my God. Bro, because I hadn't seen him in almost 10 years. You know, it's been like a long time since I've like physically seen him and had conversation with him. So it's like, man, like what a story, what a journey, you know? There you go right there. There you go. There you go right now. There you go right now. Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
I'm not even supposed to be in here right now. Look at him.
These muscles
Oh, you know.
gun show. Business just picked up. It's been real.
Oh my God! The Royal Rumble entrance.
Look at us.
Hey, G4 forever. I'm okay. Would you like one?
No,
I'm on the diet.
Derry.
Listen, my final question.
Sorry, but
Hold on.
Go back to CM Punk. Yes, it is amazing that he is here. I'm super happy that he's here. Every time I see him, he puts a smile on my face. And anytime someone can go through a journey and have all these trials and tribulations on their way and come back and be on top of it all is a great thing. So I'm just glad that he's back and he's doing his thing, man. It's great. It's great all around.
You still have more people to talk to, so really quick, last question. From Thunderdome to a sold-out Tropicana, how surreal is that going to be?
It's going to be amazing. It's wild. Like we forget about the Thunderdome, man. It was what, like 4 years ago now? 4?
Something like that.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But again, like, I'm glad that we experienced that Thunderdome era because we always talk about how important the fans are to what we do, and we say it and we know it and we mean it, but you can't really know it until it's taken away. Going out into the Thunderdome and seeing like the screens was cool that we were able to put on entertainment for people in a time when they really needed it, but it was not the same for us. Coming out and like doing a move and then having the cheers piped in, it's like, oh, this is off. Or like coming out and like going to the screens and being like, yeah, but they're seeing our backs because they're watching from home. It's like, it was weird. So now that we have the fans here and now we're here like damn near sold out, like it's great, man. It's a great energy. Royal Rumble season is the best because everybody is like really anticipating what's going to happen, and the road to WrestleMania officially begins, and we're in a really special time in WWE right now, so it's going to be great.
There it is, Kofi Kingston. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks.
And our Royal Rumble Media Day coverage begins with Chad Gable. Chad, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. Wait, I'm kicking you off today? I'm your first?
Yes, we're kicking it off bright and early.
All right, let's do it.
So, first and foremost, I want to ask you, how cool is it to come back not only to Tampa, when you consider WrestleMania 36, it was half crowd, and then of course we're going back to the home of the Thunderdome, and it's like not 50,000 TV screens, it's going to be 50,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's unbelievable. And me and Otis, we came in late last night, and it was funny because we were talking about that very thing. Like we used to, that whole period through the COVID thing, And the Thunderdome era, we would land at Tampa like we did last night. We'd do the same walk, get our rental car, the same drive over here, and all this stuff. And it's like full circle to the point, almost even way further back than that, because Tampa is where I had my original tryout, at FCW. I was like the last tryout before FCW closed down. So for me, it goes even further back than that. So it's super special area and just region for me to come to. I'm very excited.
Well, listen, I'm a HCC kid here in Tampa. I haven't been back in 7 years. So shout out to the FCW. That Sam's Club right next to it is where I went to go get my hot dogs for $1.50. So real quick, what can you give me a memory of FCW? Because now I believe it's a bounce house for kids.
Okay. I remember that tryout well. I was very nervous, much younger than I am now, but I was walking into a world that I was very unfamiliar with as far as its inner workings, and what they expect of you. But I came from an athletic background that everybody knows, so like the hard work part kind of like was already built in. But I had a point to prove that weekend as the smallest guy in the tryout, and I did. It was sweaty. It was hot. For those that don't know, that FCW warehouse was just essentially a box in Florida, man. So as you can imagine, in the middle of June, which is when my tryout was, there was about 80 pounds of sweat left all over the floor in the ring that weekend, and it was rough, but it was good.
I do have to ask you, the bigger the person and the bigger the challenge, the more excited you are to suplex them, correct?
100%. And you can ask any of my friends, you can ask Otis. Going back to my amateur days, like all I ever did was practice with the heavyweights. I would always find the heavyweights and wrestle them. For some reason, I was gravitated towards those guys. They're just a little more fun to mess with, for some reason. But it presents a challenge to me, a unique challenge that I don't really find anywhere else on the roster. And it's become a niche for me, like who's the next guy I can throw? And I get a lot of suggestions. So we're trying to climb that ladder, knock everyone out till there's no one left.
Don't add me onto the list. All right, final question. The deal with Netflix was just announced. All right, it's incredible. Netflix, they make movies.
Yeah.
If I give you creative control to take some of that $5 billion to make a blockbuster, who on the roster are you doing it with? Are you doing a buddy cop movie with Alpha Academy? Like, what's the game plan here?
Man, I know remakes are kind of overdone these days, but I feel like Otis and I could maybe pull off a Tommy Boy remake in one of these days, and I think we could do it well. So if anyone's producing that or writing that, you got your guys right here. We're set.
We have the budget for it. Listen, Chad, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Rhea, I talked to you before WrestleMania last year, and of course, it was amazing. You've had a hell of a run. That's why you're on the cover. But I do want to ask you one question. I was in the building at SoFi, and I watched you fight Charlotte. My reaction was, they went out there to prove a point that they could steal the show, be the best match on the card, even if they weren't given as much time as they should have leading up to it. Did you guys have a point to prove when you guys went out there, in your opinion?
Yeah. I feel like every time Charlotte and I step into that ring together, we have a point to prove. And obviously, yes, the build-up to the match, it wasn't there in the way that I expected and that I wanted, and I think it was the same for her. So we have this thing where we like to say, like, follow that, and I think we went out there and we accomplished that.
Point proven, 100%. Listen, I know you're amazing, but deep down inside, you're a wrestling nerd. All right? This is true. The Rock's been back. Punk's been back. Cena's been back. The card's stacked. This is one of the most stacked rosters like ever. How does it feel to not only be a part of it, but let's be honest, you're leading the way in this?
It feels absolutely insane. Like, it really does. And to be able to do this crazy journey and make it this far and achieve all these amazing things while getting to meet some of my heroes that I got to watch growing up, it's so insane. But like, Bianca and I making history, being on the WWE 2K24 cover, like, we're the first two female to have a female-only cover. That's insane. And I feel like the history is just getting started for us. Like, we're here to make a legacy, and I feel like the child in me is so proud of everything that I've accomplished. And yeah.
Here's the last thing. You've made a lot of people on television fold by just smiling at them. You're making Jimmy giggle and everyone laugh. I'm here to prove that you can't do it to everybody. So you have to look at me for 10 seconds, and I have to hold on a second. Let me get ready. Okay.
Already?
No, wait. I'm just being nice. Okay, hold on. Go for it. Damn it! She got me with the timer. Rhea, seriously, congratulations.
Thank you.
Media Day continues here at the Royal Rumble with the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. Gunther, I want to ask you this question. What matters to you more, being the best or being the champ?
Well, to be the best, you got to be the champ. So it goes hand in hand.
There it is. And then my final question. Obviously, these past 3 months, you look at the returns, whether it's Cena, whether it's Punk, The Rock. This is probably arguably the most stacked roster in years. Do you see it as a feeding ground? Is there pressure? What do you think of this roster right now?
I think it's great. I think the roster is stacked. I think it's very diverse in the sense of like the characters and the styles we have. And it's great to be in the mix of that. You just named the guys return. I think we have a lot of young blood, fresh blood, and I think if that mixes up, that's a good mixture for an exciting product.
Hey, and before we get out of here, congratulations on being a dad, dude. Welcome to the club, my friend. There it is. Thank you so much for the time. Bianca, I want to ask you something, because we got a lot to get into, but we only have a little bit of time.
Okay.
How cool is it to go back to the home of the Thunderdome, but this time it ain't 50,000 damn screens with people on their Zoom. It's 50,000 people ready to get lit.
Yes. I'm excited because I won the Rumble in 2021, and I was so excited when I won that I almost forgot that there weren't any fans because I was just so caught up in the moment. But now knowing that I have a possibility of winning and I can do it in front of the fans, I want to recreate that history, and I want to have that feeling of being able to point to the sign and having thousands and thousands of fans and my parents in the front row, being able to look at them and celebrate with them and become the first woman to ever win a Royal Rumble twice. Like, I want to recreate that history but have the fans there with me this time.
Bianca's speaking it into existence. When we talked on Zoom, I asked you about your WrestleMania entrance, and you're like, look, there's a lot going on. I ain't had time to think of it. Can I pitch something?
Okay, yes, please.
Look, how about Megan Thee Stallion coming out with you? Because let's be honest, I'm going to ask you as a professional wrestler, sometimes when she be going on stage, she could also be going out to the ring on some of the fits. True?
True. I mean, now she has this new deal with Nike, and she's in Planet Fitness, and like she's all into her fitness game. I've had the opportunity of meeting her before, and she was so amazing in person. She's beautiful. She's like a real stallion in life too. Like, she's tall and she's like built and she's just beautiful. So I would love for her to come out to the ring with me, or maybe even, maybe be a tag team partner if I need a tag team partner in the future. She can be the entertainment. She can perform. She can get down and dance, but she can also fight too.
Our last thing, we're going to be seeing a lot of you this year. Hulu, loving WWE. It's WrestleMania season. What's the message you have to your fans?
I would say thank you guys so much for the support. We're really excited about this reality series. We're pulling the curtain back, really showing who we are, not just inside the ring but outside the ring. We filmed it on the road to WrestleMania, so we're showing you the ins and outs, what it takes to get to that moment, how our professional life can spill into our personal life, and how we balance it all as husband and wife. We think it's a great treat for you guys. Please tune in to it February 2nd on Hulu.
Boom, Bianca Belair, the GOAT, joining us. Yo, I don't know if you heard me before, but this episode brought to you by Haya Hotel, uniquely Ybor, in the heart of Ybor, Florida, right next to Tampa and St. Petersburg. Look, man, go on my social media, Heavyweight Radio. You're going to see this video next week on there, kind of detailing not only the hotel, but our experience covering the Royal Rumble, including the luxurious views of the hotel located in the heart of Ybor, right in the middle of all the craziness, and it was a great time. Want you to see it for yourself firsthand. Book your stay right now, hotelhaya.com, Haya, hotelhaya.com. Now, let's get back to the show. As we continue our Royal Rumble coverage, we're not even going to say nothing. For about 5 seconds, we need to look at the screen, because this is two meaty men in the building.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, the glasses, the look, everything, you look stupendous. But on a serious note, are you ready to be a dad, dude?
Yes and no.
The perfect answer.
Yeah. I feel like it's something I've wanted for a long time, but you can't really prepare for these things. Me and my wife is prepared as much as possible. The baby's due in 4 weeks, so it's coming really soon. And hopefully once she's here, I'll be quite the dad.
Obviously, you're traveling a lot, which makes things extremely difficult. But have you tried your best to go to the are you guys doing the classes and all that stuff?
We haven't done many of the classes, but we do have what is called a doula, and she's been coaching us through things. So that's what I've been paying attention, watching a lot of videos on YouTube, doing all those things, and hopefully being as much of a supportive husband as I can be while spending half my time on the road as well.
Shout out to you two for like making this even possible. And by the way, your doula is going to come in the clutch in about a month. You'll understand, and we'll talk about it later.
Yes.
And congratulations, by the way, to the entire family. It's amazing. Let's get to the ring, man, and let's get a little spicy. Before you came back to WWE, you got to participate in the G1 tournament, which is incredible. Some would say you had a surprise win against a man in Okada that is now a free agent.
Yes.
You kind of hinted at some things on social media. I want to ask you, do you want to see him in the WWE?
100%. You know, I'm not sure what he is doing or where he is going, but those 2 matches I had with Okada in New Japan Pro Wrestling are 2 of my favorites I've had in my career. You know, you never know how good someone is until you're actually in the ring with them. And I heard for years and years, Okada's one of the best in the world, one of the best in the world. And I watched him and I was like, he is incredible. But until I was actually in the ring with him, I didn't realize. And I do think he is one of the best in the world. And I hope we hear the coin drop and him be a part of WWE.
There it is. There's the pitch. Send a text. Do what you need to do for the universe. Look, I want to ask you, last year I was lucky enough to go back to Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican. I haven't been to the island much. So to go there was like a crazy experience. And I got to talk to Grayson Waller a couple weeks ago about Elimination Chamber and getting to go back to the country. And you went through the independence. You are a system. You are a product of that country. Can you put into words what it's going to mean to you when Elimination Chamber's there in February?
It's hard to put into words, but I feel like it's almost a full circle sort of moment. You know, I did spend years and years grinding on the independent scene, but also I wanted to always bring attention to Australian wrestling. I said I feel like it's a bit of a forgotten nation when it comes to pro wrestling. People always, you know, talk about USA, Canada, Mexico, Japan, these places. But Australia has a rich history in wrestling for over 100 years. It was big time in the 60s, 70s, 80s on television. And now I feel like there's a resurgence because you see people like myself, Rhea Ripley, Grayson Waller, and hopefully more and more talent to be on the big stage.
Rhea was at your indie shows, right? Like in the crowd?
Yeah. So when I was doing indie shows, she was a teenager and she would come watch. And I remember she was a big fan. And then after a few years, she starts growing up, she joins, she starts training. And I remember saying, that girl's going to be famous. I was like, she's going to become something. And look, she's done everything in WWE already.
She has, but you have the thing that you can always call her. You're just a wrestling dork. At your core, you're just a wrestling nerd. All right, let's close.
Just my fan at the end of the day.
Let's close this out. Earlier this week, the Netflix Monday Night Raw deal was announced, all right? $5 billion. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So hypothetically, I'm going to give you a little bit of that $5 billion to make any sort of movie, you starring in it. You can pick whoever you want to be the co-star. What movie are you making?
You know what? I'm going to make a live-action film about Genghis Khan, and I'm playing Genghis Khan. And it's going to be on Netflix, and it'll get lots and lots of views.
There it is. Bronson Reed, thank you so much for the time.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Our Royal Rumble Media Day coverage continues with Shayna Baszler. Last time we talked was SummerSlam. It's a pleasure to have you on the show again. You're now considered a friend of the show, which is why I need to ask you for some advice.
Okay.
You were on Twitch yesterday getting a tattoo, shout out to you because that was hella creative. I'm like, look at her standing now. That's good content idea. Which now I'm about to go get my first tattoo ever.
Ooh.
Here's the deal. So what I'm doing is it's an outline of a belt.
Okay.
And then in the body of the belt, it's going to have my son's first name.
Oh.
I'm thinking 2 locations. My wrist right here or above my kneecap. I kind of want to be like a little bit of a thought. What do you suggest? How should I play this?
So I've heard that the wrist is painful. I also think there's more lasting power in that spot. Like as far as, I know I have more than one friend that's gotten a wrist tattoo that's like faded more on the wrist than the leg ones. Although it's your first tattoo, is going to hurt regardless. So, you know.
Well, the veins on the wrist, right? That's like the veins on the wrist.
The parts that aren't meaty are the part that hurts, right? So I'll tell you this too. If you get it on your wrist and it does fade, you can get it touched up and redone. But I just that's what I was like filming some of, is I was getting touched up. In my opinion, that getting touched up hurts. I hate getting it redone because it's over scar tissue already, and like it's basically like they give you a small open wound and pour ink in it, right? So there's a scar there. So yeah, so I don't know. My vote would be for the above the kneecap.
I like it, and then I'll wear short shorts. You know what I'm saying? Get the girlies' attention. There we go. Super important question. There's been rumors that WrestleMania might take place in Minnesota. And then look, I've been to downtown Minneapolis before. Like, first off, the music culture there, Prince's venue. I saw a Run the Jewels concert there. The Twin Stadium. Are you Run the Jewels, Killer Mike?
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet venue to see them at.
I also was just walking downtown and I was like, rap music? Look, is this happening right now?
Run the Jewels at First Avenue. That's a sick show.
Yes, and obviously, like, there's a lot of culture in Minnesota that I don't think people realize. So I'm just gonna give you the microphone. Like, are you down for this? The WrestleMania in Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, Minneapolis is one of my favorite cities in the world. I'm from the Midwest, so I'm a little biased, but I think you kind of touched it. I don't think people realize, like, the food, the music, the culture that all comes from Minneapolis. Minneapolis is like the Seattle of the Midwest.
That's way to be the mayor of the city.
Yeah. So it's some good place to enjoy a lot of things you wouldn't realize about it. I love that city.
And then we got 2 more questions. One thing that I've been seeing a lot online is that with this stacked roster, like, people want there to be an equivalent in the women's division of the Intercontinental title, the U.S. title. Are you down for this?
Hey, anytime there's an opportunity to get gold, I'm not going to complain. More than that, an opportunity to rip people's arms off and have an excuse to do that, it's great.
Last question. Earlier this week, the Netflix Monday Night Raw deal was made. It's a lot of money. I'm going to give you a portion of that money. You get to create any movie, any genre, any co-stars. What are you doing?
People know the answer. I'm helping fund Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40K project. You know? Hey, hashtag Shayna for Warhammer. I need on that. Look, I'm wearing a corn hat.
Yo, she's selling it. Shayna, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Ricochet. So with 2K, you can go 2 ways about it, right? You can relive all the classic moments, or you can create them.
Yeah.
When you get on the sticks, what are we doing?
I did the Rey Mysterio, the last year's, right?
The showcase. I
showcase,
believe, right?
That was awesome. That's all. Doing that and to be able to, like, go back and, like, play his matches, and then, like, it cuts into the scene of, like, a thing, and then it goes back into the match. Like, that was awesome. So I think, was it Cody's story this time, or is it? I forgot what it was, but
yet to be revealed.
Yet to be revealed. Okay. I like that stuff. I like going. I also like games that are like story mode, and you play the story, and you can. I like that stuff. But obviously, going on there and creating your own flaming tables, and that's always fun. It's since the No Mercy days, you know what I mean.
And look, you've been traveling the road. This past year and a half has been crazy, but now CM Punk returns. The scene has been around. The Rock's back, or at least it seems like it. It's craziness. This is the most stacked roster. How does it feel to be a part of it in this moment?
I mean, I've said for a long time now that we've had the most stacked, complete roster, start to finish. Whether you start from main event and go to the main event, like, I feel like we've had the most complete roster for a long time now. And I think with all these additions have only helped prove my point. I mean, we've had AJ Styles, we've had Randy Orton, we've had all these guys, we've had Ricochet, we've had you know what I mean? So I feel like we've had, the Rhea Ripleys and the Biancas and stuff. So I feel like we've had the most complete.
Is it more pressure, though?
Not for me. I mean, maybe for some other people, but I mean, I feel like I'm Kobe. Kobe, he always says, it's the same shot in the playoffs as it is in practice. I've taken that shot 1,000 times. So that's the way I see it. It's not more pressure for me. It's more competition. It's more competition, for us. But I think, it might be more pressure, but I kind of deal with pressure differently. I like pressure. I like those moments. I like those big moments.
Some people's built differently.
Some people build differently. And I like to be in those moments. I want to be in those moments, those high pressure, high stakes moments, because that's where Ricochet shines. But even if it is more pressure, I say bring it on.
Last question. What should your rating be in WWE 2K24?
What should it be? It should be like an 87, but it's probably going to be like an 80, 82, 81.
We'll talk to Ronnie 2K and the game updates.
Ronnie be tripping. Ronnie, I tried to get him to switch it last year, and they said they couldn't do it, but...
Ricochet, thank you so much for the time. Royal Rumble Media Day continues with Otis. For a second, we both need to look at this camera and just 2 beautiful big men, meaty men.
Yeah.
But how are you, my friend?
Doing good, my man. You know, I'm a little sleepy, but guess what? The engine keeps on going, baby, if you know what I mean.
No, 100%. I do have to ask you, we're back here in Tampa, and if you look, let's look at the past 5 years, right? WrestleMania 36, with half of the crowd being there. Of course, Tropicana Field was home of the Thunderdome, and we are now replacing the LED TV screens all over the place with actual people. How insane is it to actually know that this is going to be a sold-out crowd at Tropicana and not just an empty field?
Yeah, and I'm telling you something, it felt very, very big when there's nobody there, trust me. Now, with everybody there, God knows how it's going to look big, but yeah, it's definitely, that was a rough time, man, I tell you. Obviously serious time in society at that time, but I'm telling you, we miss the people, and obviously I need the people because, again, once the engine gets going, baby, you guys get louder, I'm going to keep on coming, so it's going to be interesting, man, because, again, it was very, like you said, just like, it's just screens and the TVs were support, but now we got the whole crowd, baby, so yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And I do need to ask you something, and let me pull out my notes because I do serious research. Big E earlier this week showed up on the bump. All right, and let me just make sure and get everything correct that he proposed. The Meaty Men Invitational at WrestleMania. Yeah. Imagine just the largest, most bulbous, most gritty men all gathering in one match to decide who's being crowned the meatiest man on God's green earth. What's your instant reaction?
I tell you what, off the top of my head, that would be a doozy because, if you got me in there, you got Omos in there. If you got Avire in there, you got Big Bronson Reed in there. Holy hell, it's going to be a showdown. A lot of big, meaty men, baby. So, yeah, I'd definitely be down for that, to try out to be the beefiest man on the roster, baby.
Last question. The new deal with Netflix was just announced. It's a lot of money. We can use that money to make a movie, Otis, and we are giving you complete control creatively. What are we making?
Well, to be honest, I'm a big horror guy. I wouldn't do as much as See No Evil-ish, but I probably would have some kind of entertaining comedy horror movie for Netflix if I was directing and producing it for sure.
There it is. Oh, Otis, real quick, last thing. We're about to take a picture. What's the Instagram caption?
It is at Otis_WWE.
No, but what's the caption going to say? Like the
caption.
Yes.
A couple of massive buttes.